mics live, I believe. Well, here we are. We're live on screen. Welcome aboard, man. It's good to see you again, Kaz. This is Fly Information. You did it once 2 years ago, but at that point, you know, I was just still kind of making shit up on the go. I'm still making shit up on the go, but I have like a segment now that I've kind of put in there that we'll do in a little bit. But first, I wanted to talk to you about like this album you sent over to me, I don't know, a month ago or something, that I'm not allowed to play for anybody. Haven't played it for anybody, but I enjoyed it.
Cool.
And yeah, it's called Meme, right? Most Edmonton Music Ever. Do you want to just give an elevator pitch about it or talk about that a little bit?
Word. I set out to, like, I applied for an album. This is the first album I've ever applied for with the Edmonton Arts Council. And I based it on just, I learned a bunch about how much the Jamaicans who came down in the 70s contributed to getting hip hop into Edmonton really early. And my dad was one of those Jamaicans, so I have this like direct access to these stories. And yeah, I was like, I wanna keep them documented, and I want to also represent, like, I'm the next generation of that, and a bunch of MCs came out of that, a bunch of dancers came out, like a bunch of my peers came out of that, and most of us don't even know these stories. Like, we don't know that our dads were hanging doing hip hop things like really early on in the hip hop cycle. So I just wanted to kind of capture all that and put it in an album that doesn't have to think about marketing or anything, because I got paid up front.
Nice, man, nice. So that's another thing I was going to ask is, like, well, here, first let me ask this. Has the album changed since you sent it to me? Have you still been working on it over the past month?
Yeah, it has changed. There's 2 new tracks on it that I wrote to. I've been getting my driller flow. I've been studying these drill guys. I work at a school in the daytime. Shout out to BSEC, and a lot of these youths teach me their music. And
what age group are you working with? Like high school kids?
Yeah, so 14 to 20, I believe.
Dope.
So yeah, they show me what's up, what's new, and I have trained myself to listen. Like I first had the OG reaction, like, cringe and tell them to take it away from me and turn on some I don't know, Run DMC to cleanse my palate.
You're gonna take it that far back for real?
That's the kind of work you have to do. You have to you pant, you're sweating.
So like what's your role working with the kids? Are you guys making music actually together, or is the music just kind of something that ends up coming up as a topic?
No, we study a lot of music. So there's a literacy portion, and we study lyrics and double entendres and metaphors and similes and how these are literary devices, and even like listening to what they listen to, and like talking about why do you listen to this. Like a lot of times I was finding that they couldn't answer that question. Like, yo, what do you even like in this? Like, and I was defending things, like, well, at least, he has a bar here. And they're like, they like, oh yeah, I guess that is a bar. Like, yo, what are you listening to this for? Like, what? So yeah, there's been just an interesting dialogue as far as like, I want them to be able to defend why they listen to what they listen to. I want them to be able to be like, yo, 21 Savage got this bar, and that's why he's the greatest. He's way better than Tupac, right? Like, all right, you have an argument. It's not necessarily a correct argument, but you have an argument. I want to see that happen. I want to see that kind of dialogue happen more. So
yeah, that makes sense, man. So a little bit deeper than just like, because I feel like a lot of the youth would just tell you it's the vibe, right? Like new age hip hop, it's about the vibe or whatever. But like, it's still a lyrically based thing. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp you're talking about, where it's like, okay, but they got to have something there. Yeah.
I've learned that there's like a set of words, like ops, cops, sliding,
Skirt.
skirt. Like there's a certain, like, you use a certain lingo, like that kind of counts. Like, like that kind of counts as lyricism. You're like, oh, you use one of these 10 words that
Stick rhymes with
that
bitch. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, stick is one of them. Stick is one of them too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's these select words that are codified. It's culturally codified if we get in academic with it. So it's within their circles. Most adults don't understand what they mean when they say, "I'm gonna go get the stick." Like we get the blicky. Like what does that mean? So they use these words, and that is like considered like, oh, like that's a whole bar just as you use that one word that everyone's kind of sharing. So it's a different point system.
Yeah,
for
the scoring has changed a little bit.
Yeah, the scoring has dramatically changed.
Right.
But they still score. They still keep a score, and I've been trying to learn that portion of it, and I've had a good time, man. I've had some really great conversations around, music.
Is it still considered drill music if dudes get lyrical? Because sometimes I talk about how, like, I find trap and I find drill music that I like that are definitely trap and drill beats, but the dudes rapping on it kind of elevate the lyricism a little bit beyond what we were just mentioning there. But like, is it built into drill music that it's supposed to be simpler lyricism? Like,
I would say there's drill rapper, like a lot, like, okay, so drill is a very, 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 very interesting subgenre, just based on, like, most of the people you'll be talking about are dead or in jail.
right.
Like that just comes along with the territory of drill. So you're rarely talking about someone who is currently, like, they've had a great career, and they got even time enough to, like, be like, I want to think about what I'm rapping about. But there's some small, there are some MCs out there, like it's like the New York drill movement. There was some, like, bars that did get spit in the time before said people went to jail or got shot.
I mean, I'm not surprised everybody's in jail or shot because, like, isn't the entire movement kind of like to do a drill? Like, when you hear rappers say we're going out to do a drill, like they're talking about rolling up and shooting people, right? Like that's I learned hip hop slang just from listening to context, and that's what I've put together. Is like, oh, okay, I see why it's called drill music. It's all about pulling up and shooting the ops. Okay.
Yeah, and it's deeper than that in a social context, right? Like, where I will show my respect is that it is a bastard child of hip hop, right? Like, it is like the biggest in Chicago, New York, and you get the most gun violence in these spots. Like California. That's where Pop Smoke met his end, right? Like,
yeah,
straight up just in California. Like, all of this stuff these are the same places that Black Panthers had their main spaces, right? And these were leaders in communities. These were leaders who were armed in communities. They all got taken out within the span of a month, unfairly, unlawfully, by law people.
Yeah.
And you get a bunch of guns left in the hood with angry youths who just lost their leaders, who are also young people, right? Like, so I respect its roots coming from that. Like, this is the byproduct of
even deeper than that. Like, the CIA was actually, like, turning people against each other and shit, right? Like, they were turning the entire movement at itself. Yeah. So
and, like, deeper than that is like that they learned those tactics because they were fighting anarchism prior to that, like Irish car bombs and all that.
Right.
Like, that was the thing that they were fighting actively in America, and had learned how to counter these tactics through that. They just left that war and came to meet up with the Black Panthers, and already had, like, a strategy for it. And that's what ultimately got, all these guys taken out in, the course of a month, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I respect that. That's what it comes from. That's the pain it comes from. The irony of it is that it's still being used to, like, turn people against each other and put people in jail, right? Like, that part sucks. And that's the part that I think, also deserves dialogue as well when I'm talking to them. Like, yo, man, like, you can't do both. Like, this is proof, like, let's look at the track record. We have enough track record at this point to make conclusions, you know, about like are you trying to, you know, are you trying to preserve life, you know, in this equation? And these are good conversations, right? Like,
Yeah.
these are, when you're making that kind of music, you are challenging whether you or not you are, but like that's also emo music, and that's also, right, like there's a lot of, I don't know if I can say emo music. I had a friend in our class talk about like the history of emo, which I had no idea. It's like they have this whole thing. Anyways,
Like out of punk rock and whatever came emo music, or
emo has its own like, yeah, emo
Yeah.
has its own like thing. And I was like, oh damn. What I knew of emo was not, you know, it's like our version of like whack hip hop, or that came out, that we consider whack, that came out, and that's what everyone considers hip hop kind of thing.
yeah.
So I'm learning that about emo. So I'm gonna take back what I just said about emo. Learned a little bit. Still got much more to learn.
Education never stops, man. Yeah.
Never stops. Never stops. But yeah, man, I honor drill, and I think that it can go into lots of. I think that its problem right now is it's stuck in this direction that's only gonna lead one way. And it's like, yo, we've seen this now. We have enough data. Let's, like, what does it sound like? What can we do with this? That's not that, because that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, like states pass laws to be like, yo, we can arrest you based on what you're talking about, and that's what they proceeded to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, you gotta adjust, right? Like you can't. We know what it is.
That's for real. They're putting people away based on lyrics now. Like I've heard, you know, they've used lyrics in trials and stuff, but they've actually like codified it into law that you can't just say it was entertainment anymore.
Yeah, specifically in New York.
Okay.
Whoever, and it was like a black mayor, like totally like, yeah, get these motherfuckers. So yeah, specifically in New York, they can use. So like, there's a bunch of New York drill rappers who just like that taken out. So the ops and the cops.
Yeah. So, but you've been tapping into that world a little bit more for your new music?
Yeah. So I didn't send, because I'm still like, I'm still in training. I'm still, you know, learning from my masters in the classroom. And I'm now like ready. I'm like, okay, my flow is ready. So I've recorded some more of those tracks. I will send them your way shortly. But those ones had to stay in the oven a little bit longer.
Yeah, weird. Appreciate that, man. So from what I did hear on the album, you've still got a lot to say. You're definitely not sticking topically to you know, that genre.
No.
You're talking about all sorts of smart shit on there from what I could hear. I've listened through a couple times while I was at the gym or whatever. But I remember you had one that was talking about like, you know, don't get on the boat kind of deal, like stay off the boat because they're going to chain you or whatever and enslave you, basically, that metaphor, and talking about the music industry, right? Like,
yeah, there's a few entendres in there.
Yeah.
So the court system, like, I don't know if you know, like once you pass the like paddle area, you're technically in a boat. Like that's how the crown gains power over you. And that's how they can judge you. So there's like, it's a whole seaman law, a seaman, not seaman, but yeah, also,
sure.
It's a law that worked through commerce and the ocean, because that's how people were doing trade most of the time.
Right.
So if something happened, they couldn't like judge anyone like wherever they were. They had to go onto a boat. So that's the same court system we have currently. So it's talking about like presently, if you wanted to take that route, there's like, if you ever spend some time YouTubing like Freeman Law and them in court, they'll be behind that paddle and they'll be talking their shit to the judge.
Okay.
They also have
like the guys who claim they're a free man on the land or whatever, and that the laws don't apply to them. Okay. Yeah. I'm vaguely familiar with that movement.
So they can talk that shit because they're behind the paddle. If they go into the boat, then they can be judged. And the guys like the bailiffs will try to pull them on that side, and they'll beat the shit out of them.
Okay, so That's wild, man. I didn't know that. I've never actually seen them standing in court with with an actual boat paddle. That's the idea.
Oh no, it's like so. There's like this flappy thing that you step past, and that represents you are now on this naval judging system that gives the crown power. So it's an extension of the crown, the same way boats were during commercial trade originally.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
I
so it's
got
like
you.
some
Okay.
old school commercial trade. Like, oh, we this isn't actually our land, so we have to like rig this like boat
Bring you
system.
on the boat so we can charge you
Okay.
with something.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So that's our current system. So that's one entendre. The other is like many years ago, one of a few of my ancestors maybe were like, looking at a shore. They saw a boat coming in the distance. They probably thought to themselves, "Oh, great! This is awesome visitors." And it's like, no, man. Like if I could tell them, I might not be here if I could tell them. So.
And is that how you look at the music industry to this day, though? Like the organized music industry. Who was it? Somebody I interviewed. I think John Creasy, Niagara-based artist, told me he's not fucking with the music industry because it's pretty much on some slave shit. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've heard that in plenty of music before, obviously, but that's
Yeah.
what you're saying in that track, yeah.
Yeah, like our legal system, our economic system, our 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 system of trade all parody each other. So if you're talking about one, you're talking about all of them, and that's what I was bringing up in that track.
Yeah, weird, man. Um, what makes it the most Edmonton music ever?
So I got some samples in there. That track you're talking about specifically samples Jungle Man, Maximum Definitive. So I'm trying to. So the reason that I'm also like being very careful about this album is I don't want it to be mistaken. Like I don't care about making money off of it. Again, I got paid up front, so straight. I do want to create avenues for like our artists, like to be honored. I do want to share, like I want to have them on the track with credits as writers. I want there to be like as many links as these original works as possible. However, I can do that in the rollout. And I want this to be something that celebrates and allows like these younger cats to be like, okay, we have this history here. It's very hard to find, but it's there.
If you dig, yeah.
But then, as we talked about this, the most Edmonton thing ever is how underground we are, right? So I'm trying to honor that in ways as well too, where it can't be super shiny and wanting to blow up like that. That ain't Edmonton at all.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to respect that in the process as well. Like it's something that I'm creating through what's come through the past. Like these are my ancestors. We talking like hip hop belief systems. Like these are the ones who brought it. They fought to bring it here. I think that's a part that we miss, is that like they were getting chased down and beat up, by like whoever, because it was the 80s and that's how it was. So
Hip hop wasn't welcome around these parts, yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So, they look at us and they look at these younger kids with hip hop and they're just like, so I want to reverse some of that damage, where we bridge instead of burn.
That's cool, actually. So, like, Maximum Definitive, they're like one of the OG Edmonton groups, right?
Yeah. So there's Click. Click still works in the industry to this day. I found out that I was painting basketball courts with his cousin, just randomly.
Like painting lines on basketball courts, or like?
Oh, we painting whole basketball courts. We had Black Panther on the first court.
Oh, okay. So artistically painting them. Okay, dope.
Yeah. So basically murals, but on the ground. So this is in Duggan. Old Hood taught me a lot. Shout out to Duggan. Shout out to Orv and Tough House Records, where I learned to cut my teeth. Rap scene. So yeah, man, just giving back to that community, because yeah, man, we had some bad kids in that community, and it doesn't look like it's changed too much. So I also remember there was some strong figures in that community who really helped shape that community as well and gave it a lot of character. So trying to make it as open as possible too, and like bring a lot of those guys back in, because I know there's a huge gap between them now. You can't just roll in and be like, "This is my hood," you know. Like there needs to be some sort of bridging. So thinking about that as well as we move along. But yeah, we painting courts.
That's cool though to sample an old Edmonton-based artist, because like, you know, a lot of the new hit singles in new hip hop are sampling even hip hop from 10, 15 years ago and kind of repackaging a lot of those songs. So it's dope to actually go back to, you know, the roots of Edmonton and pick it up. Is that was that a trend across the entire album, or?
It's a trend in a few tracks.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say about half of it. I would say more than half. I'd say about half of it, production-wise, is doing that, and that is a parody of what's happening in the mainstream scene.
Yeah.
But you know, they're taking stuff you know, it's New York rappers taking New York stuff. Like, why wouldn't we do the same thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like the track about real estate that is, you know, parodying Cadence Weapon. I made a deal today. We're selling real estate, right? So lyrically, there's a lot of places where I parody. So I'd say about 75% of it is taking from past Edmonton things that have guaned or are guaning.
I thought you should have went with most Edmonton guy around and just had MEGA be the acronym. But
I thought of that. That's so funny. Like I thought of the acronym. Because someone called, it was Baggy Lean in the chat called me something that had like MAGA in it, and I was like, "Yo, man, like make Edmonton great again." Damn, make Edmonton great again. And I was like, "Nah, I don't."
It would turn some heads, but yeah. might not be exactly what you want.
Yeah. Not
my
yet.
new album, MAGA. Yeah, I don't know. It might be a tough sell, dude.
Still too soon.
Yeah. Dude, so do you have a release plan for this thing? Like when are we going to get the album?
So yeah, again, I'm trying to be really careful about the release, because again, I don't want it to do the opposite of what it is meant to do. So I don't want to piss people off. And that happens in hip hop quite easily. So I want to make sure I have time to reach out to people who I have sampled. Some of them have like family members who also play instruments, and I want to reach out to them and like get like collabs in that way going on. So there's next generation things wanting. So yeah, there's a few things I still want to do before like releasing it. But I do want a part of the process is that I'm releasing it to people who are closer to me as I progress earlier on than I normally would have.
Right. So when you get like an Edmonton Arts Council grant or whatever, I would imagine you have to put a date on there when this thing's going to be done by, don't you? Like,
yeah, you totally do.
Yeah.
I currently, so I somewhat have a reason for being behind, but it was, you know, supposed to be due in February. I can't apply for anything else until it's the report has been sent in. I could have sent in this version of it as the report, and being like, yeah, it's done, and I did what I could. I kind of in my mind though, like I was like, yo, I just want to tell them that I'm not done yet, and I want to. This is the new date, which, you know, I was thinking like, give me an extra month or so. And yeah, it was this black and white thing where it was like, yo, you either did it or you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And if you did it, given what you did.
Which is a tough way to run art, man, you know?
Yeah. And I was like, yo, I was really proud of it. You know, I'm like, I'm really proud of this. I don't want to give it to them in this form, like when it's so good already. And like, yes, they would probably be like, oh, this is cool. But I'm not doing it justice. It's not the most Edmonton album ever. You know, I gotta keep it real. And I had to keep it real. So I didn't hand it in. It's now a month past due. Sorry if you're watching Edmonton Arts Council. It's coming though, and it's great. I promise you, it's great. And that's also what I broke both my wrists this summer. That also happened, so I have that as well. Where like, I was severely disabled.
The youth teaching you how to skateboard too, or how the hell did you do that, man?
Oh man, I was playing basketball like first weekend of the summer. School was out. Summer, playing some basketball. This guy just came back. He's very built. He's a very professional bodied player.
Very
And,
athletic guy, sure.
yeah. I just flipped upside down. I was going to land on my face. I put my hands out to break that fall, not my face, and also broke both my wrists at the same time.
Damn.
So yeah, went out like a real one. I had not received my like OG treatment yet. You know, like every basketball player, at some point, it happens where you're like, okay, I got to stop playing all the time.
The
Like,
career ender. Yeah.
I hadn't received mine yet, so this was my like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting old, man. If we keep pushing pushing it out there on the basketball court, it's gonna catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a high impact sport. So I was like, yeah, okay. So we're gonna do lower impact things now from now on. I love ball. I'll continue with ball. I believe it to be a community. I believe it to be a hip hop community as well.
Just turn down the intensity a little bit.
Turning down the intensity, going back. You know, I played many old men in my day, and I was like, man, why are you moving so slow? Now, no complaints. We joining that side. We joining that team.
That's fair, man. So did you do the production on this album? Because
yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, dude, it sounds dope. Have you been putting in a lot of work on your production side of things over the past years? Yeah.
Yep, I have. I pretty much, that was my like COVID thing. You know, like people learn shit. I took time to just like, all right, I don't know how. Like there was a point in time where I didn't even understand like splice existed, and I was going into these beat battles, and these kids were just the drums. I'm like, how are these drums so loud and so good? You know, I'm like here, you know, like crafting drums, and now like I'm like, oh, splice, like kick, 808, and I have to learn to use these tools. And it's not about, you know, like to me, it's another form of sampling.
Yeah.
There are lots of people who don't understand what sampling is or chopping or don't like that's so enjoyable to me, right? Like I would hate to miss out on just like using a loop and slapping it on. Like I love chopping. I love hearing like a chop that works with another chop from two completely different things and putting those together and in the same key. And I understand key now. I never understood key back when I was, you know, on vinyl and sampling from.
Okay, so you've been studying the music theory side of things then too.
Yeah, because these things kind of force you to do that. That's what I appreciate about splice. You know, like it does force you to like, oh, I need to keep everything in a key, and I used to figure it out. You know, like
just by ear.
Now, yeah, and sometimes I'll be off. You know, like I listen to stuff and I'm like, I was off. I was trying. I didn't know the theory. Yeah. So yeah, caught up on a lot of that, caught up on a lot of technology, synthesizers that you just put in the sample and it will turn into an actual synthesized waveform. All sorts of technology exists now. The stem splitting, you know, like
that's beautiful, man. I just got a DJ controller and I was like, what? I press one button and it's an instrumental or an acapella? Like, goddamn.
What? Like,
change the game, man.
Yeah, I'm enjoying all this, especially like applying it to like the things I learned to love. You know, like people who are just using it and finding it, discovering it today, they don't have like like I learned how to really enjoy it, and B, like things I've always wanted to do. Like so many like samples I heard, but I'm like, I can't get it to work because it's too busy. There's this thing in it or that thing. I can't take it out. And, the fact you can just take things out now, wow.
Yeah.
I'm, like that's Christmas Day, every day. So yeah, man, it's something that I don't think a lot of people actually could get as much joy out of, like, and I've learned that, like, okay, that the process, the whole process is what allows me to create that level of joy, making an instrumental, using splice and synthesizers and music theory and some weird like AI thing that just creates random rhythms, right? And they're all things you can just sample.
Yeah. Dude, actually, that's something I doubt I asked it to you the first time we talked. I should have went back and watched our first interview before this, but I've asked
I
a lot
did.
of different. Okay, well, stop me if I
Yeah.
ask you the same shit then, but because I've done a lot of these things and it kind of all blurs together at this point, if I'm being honest. But I ask a lot of guys, do you get more enjoyment from being on stage performing or from being in the lab actually creating the music? And you were just talking about, you know, the joy you get from sampling and making the beats and stuff.
So I don't mind performing, but I used to battle, right? So like I love the competition. I don't mind. I love like performing. What I don't like is the repetitive shit. Like I can't do like a full year tour doing the same songs every night in a new spot. Like that stuff to me is no. Like I would a long time ago.
Well, a
I need to go
full
back.
year, you got to be Michael Jackson if you're doing a full year tour. But like,
Yeah, but even a month
okay,
is a lot of rapping the exact same songs to different people who are, you know, like essentially, you know, it's an experience, but I don't like it. I don't like.
fair.
I always feel like I have to change stuff like in the middle of a tour, because I don't like just doing the same thing over and over again. I don't like that part of it. But that's a part that is pretty important to performing because they're listening to whatever they're listening to, and they expect a certain thing.
Yeah, they want to hear your hits, man. They want to hear the songs they know by you. Yeah.
So there's that part. I don't mind performing, but I don't like the repetitive aspect of performing. And I think maybe also like just changing the way I'm presenting the art form is the answer. Like I'm experiencing other mediums now, experimenting with other mediums. I told you about a documentary.
What's the documentary about?
It's about roller skating, so it all ties in. It's all the same universe. The Edmonton hip hop.
Oh, taking it back to the legendary roller rink.
Yes,
Sport World or something. What was it called?
It was Sports World.
Sports World. And, damn, I got it. 2 points for me. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Hey, yeah, because you got two connections. You got Dice too.
Yeah, Dice has told me about Sports World. Yeah, I think Arlo talked about Sports World. A few different people have talked about Sports World.
Yeah. So, it's taking the history and just making sure it's documented as best as I can. I'm learning a lot about video. I didn't know a lot about video. I've always known a lot about like photo editing and graphics, and therefore could translate a lot of the skill set.
Yeah.
But I've never known a lot about lighting or
a lot of the video editing stuff. To me, anyways, feels a lot like using a DAW. You know, using Pro Tools or whatever other. Yeah, it's all.
I've gotten as far as I could. Yeah, I've gotten as far as I have because of audio. Like I faked the funk for a really long time. Like I shouldn't be able to do most of the stuff I'm able to do in Premiere, but it is basically if you glued Photoshop and I use Reaper now, but you know whatever DAW. You know, if you glued those together, you get a rough version of Premiere. I know Photoshop really well. I know I know a few DAWs really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can figure most things out within these systems because they build them that way.
So
ecosystems.
Did you do all the recording yourself for this new album, or where were you recording at?
So literally, this album, I just got an SM58. And just spitting, and I want to re-record stuff. I'm trying to figure out how rough I want to keep it, you know, because again, if it's the most Edmonton music ever, I gotta consider we ain't shiny out here. We've never been shiny out here, shiny out here.
I'd make an argument, man. NATO's pretty shiny at this point. That Up in Arms studio, they got a $15,000 microphone in that motherfucker. I don't know how much shinier you can get, you know?
I would still say that his brand of music is still gritty. Like, he still has a dark, gritty sound.
Okay.
And it's the best dark, gritty sound you can get with the best equipment to achieve that dark grittiness. You can't get it anywhere else. That's right. I'm promoting Up in Arms Studio. Hit them up.
Yeah,
hit them up, y'all.
Shouts to NATO, yeah.
Yeah. However, it's still not shiny. it's not, you're not gonna get the shininess out of that studio. He does have Jinting working there now too, I believe. Jinting can get you that shiny. So I shouldn't speak on like the whole team. The team can grow. There could be people who bring that shine, but I would say.
But I guess these are new advancements too. So if you're talking about the history of Edmonton hip hop, it's been grittier. Yeah.
That's a part of what we do.
Yeah.
Recorded in the basement.
Can I ask you, dude? Because I've like seen people, on threads or whatever, talking about like how an SM58 is all you need to record vocals on, and I've always raised an eyebrow looking at it. But when you're recording actual vocals for a track with an SM58, like, are you holding it in your hand like you would on stage, or do you
no
put it in a mic stand and put a pop-up stopper? Like, what's the actual method to using an SM58 to get a decent recording out of it?
All right, so it's about like the angle that you're breathing on it. This is what I've learned, because I was also like, there was no cover, there was no protection. It was just the metal, my fist, and the rhyme. So if you're breathing a certain way on it, it's gonna catch all sorts of sibilants and things. So I was almost holding it closer to my chest in a way, and just making sure that my breath was hitting it at a certain angle.
I've just been curious about that, man, because I've seen people talking about it, but
yeah, I actually Googled it because I heard like Thriller was recorded on SM57 a long time ago, like back before you could fact check things.
Right. Legend
so
had
I fact checked it. Yeah, and it was Legend had it sort of thing, and I was like, oh, but I did learn that there were a few albums that have been recorded on SM57s and SM58s, and I'm like, okay, let's experiment. We have a mutual friend. Shout out to D's Wax, who has really good equipment.
Yes, sir.
So
he might be in chat right now, actually. Shouts to D's Wax.
So even just running it through his equipment might be the move. Again, I'm gonna really think about it, because there's also a lot of technology that will just completely remove the sibilants. Press one button and progress bar goes on across the screen, and that's
various different plugins or whatever that you can adjust yourself, or yeah.
So I'm trying to decide what sort of balance I want, how raw, what makes it the most Edmonton Music Ever, like how we roll with that. But I'm using also like the feedback as I send it out to work through that. And that is a part of something I'm willing to bake into this process.
Beeswax is in chat. He just says you're always welcome. So there you go. Edmonton connections being made here on Fly Information. I'm sure you guys know each other prior to this. But yeah. Dude,
he's also got a very Edmonton space, like he's got that he's just got his really good equipment in his space that he lives in. That's Edmonton. So that's why, like NATO's a bit too shiny at this point for this project, potentially, because he got shiny like that, which I appreciate. Again, go to NATO for that sound. You want that dark sound with the best equipment and the best darkness you can get, go to him. But as far as what I'm doing with this project, I'm keeping it D's Wax, I think.
I mean, it might be safe to say that NATO has transcended the Edmonton sound, because people come to work with him from all over the fucking place now. So, But
he's dishing out the Edmonton sound, though. Like he's giving them a piece of Edmonton. Like when I listen to Mercules, I could tell that there's like it's NATO. I could tell that there's a dark NATO-ness that NATO specialized in when he's LBA. Those days, right? Like that still carries through.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can hear the Edmonton-ness that he puts into other people's music. I don't know how much, maybe he's doing super pop now. I don't know. From what I listen to that has gone through his studio, I can still hear us.
Yeah, weird. How about features on the new one, man? Or you told me Uzi Law was swinging by your place earlier today. Is he going to be on there?
Okay, so that will also be a part of the process. Most of the songs on there are like a minute 30, 2 minutes. I'm trying to like keep them so that there's space. There's some that I took a bit more time.
What's the thinking behind keeping them short? Just because that's what the kids like these days?
that, and like
Rack up
I'm
streams faster? Is that
no, I don't think so. Maybe
I doubted
we'll
that that
see.
was your reasoning, but yeah. I have heard people say that
Part
that's
of
why
it is
songs are
like
2 minutes now.
part of it is like my production style is a lot of switch ups and like key changes, and I'm also trying to order the songs together. Like it can be one long thing. There's a possibility that there will be interviews in between them. So like you talked about Everybody's King, the interview part of that. This is technically graduation from that.
Right.
So the research that are going into it, the thought that's going into it is like if I had foresight with that, that's kind of what I would have done. If I knew that's what I wanted to do to start it out, I would have tied the album songs into it. I would have done the interviews, after people had some time to listen to some songs. I would have used beats that allow them to like comment on things and act as bridges to draw these, like drill into the 90s, Juno's Maximum Definitive. Like I would have wanted those dialogues to be able to happen. So that's what I tried to create for this one. And I had the, like, okay, I have this run and start to like put all these things together. So yeah, as far as features go, there might even be a version of it where I just leave like the beats to people. There might be versions of it where I have just open spaces on like I do really want it to be some sort of community experiment. And like if you end up taking a beat from there and blowing up with it, like you grab some pure Edmontonness to get where you got, and it cannot be denied, right? Like it's baked into every aspect of its creation. So yeah, that's so far where I'm at, but it can change based on feedback I get from folks and where we go with that.
For real, man. So the new segment that I've started doing with people is asking a bunch of how important is this or how important is that questions where I just kind of rapid fire them. You can be as vague or as elaborate as you want to with these. Sometimes people just give me the one word answer, and sometimes people talk for 5 minutes about it. But I just found it's a good way to open the door and let people rant about a thing. But let's go with how important is getting grants for a Canadian artist. Is this the first one you said you've got?
This is the first one I've got for like a project for me, right? Like
Okay.
I've got a lot of like organizational grants. Like I figured out that game. But like being like, I am who you should support.
Right.
This is why. This is my first time doing that. It was kind of weird too. Yeah. My answer to that question would be absolutely not. It's good to know how it works because it is a income stream. But yeah, it's so easy to get like caught in that system, and then you're making less art and more reports. And it's important to not get caught in that. And it's easy, because it is like it is nice to get paid up front for things. It is nice to know that it's guaranteed. It's not someone's gonna be like, actually,
Dude, it's nice to get paid at all for music, right? Like,
yeah. So like it's something people should know about and should decide if it works for them, but it's not necessary. No.
Yeah, fair enough. How important is a DJ for a stage show?
It's pretty important. I really got to think about my DJs and the transportation, and like they got kids now, plural. So I have come across this, like I don't perform that much because I do need more to do a show, right? Like because I do want to have a DJ there.
Yeah.
So
And
I
be
have
able
a show.
to pay them properly. Yeah.
Yeah, for bringing their gear out, setting up, doing all the cables, and I got work in the studio, so I know how much work that is, right? Like I can't sit here and be like, "Here's $50, man."
Yeah, it's risking a lot of money worth of gear to bring it out to a place where.
Yeah. So I think it's really important, though. Like my last few performances may not be reflecting that, and I would say that's mostly just because I haven't been able to negotiate what I need to be negotiating to get them to come out.
Yeah.
So I think it's super important. I've also done some, like the last show I did was with a band that was all they kind of listened to some songs beforehand and then just like freestyled it, improvised all my beats, and I was like, this is cool. This is cool. I like this. I don't feel like anyone's really I'll take that back. K Riz has gotten the closest to executing like good rap to a band. I feel like there's a lot of rappers who use bands. But most of the time, I'm like, yo, man, I'd rather listen to this on your album though, like, or the DJ just playing the beat. The beat's better with sampled horns coming in.
Yeah.
Like it's cool that there's a guy playing a saxophone, but you use the whole, like, you sample the whole band on, like it's different.
And that's probably largely the same situation as you were just talking about with a DJ, is to bring out an entire horn section costs more than to bring out your buddy with his one trumpet or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I also witnessed that. Like, I went to my first big show. It was Burna Boy. It was at Rogers Place. And I got to watch like a whole drum section and a whole horn section. I'm like, yo, this is the stuff I try to like sample. This is stuff I try to program. And I'm like, damn, it's another thing. But it's like, yo, how much did that cost to bring like this whole percussion section, which is the best percussion section I have ever seen in my life, hands down. But yo, it was like 15 people.
yeah, that's not cheap.
That's plane tickets for 15 people. That's hotel rooms for 15 people. That's all, that ain't cheap.
What venue was that at?
That was Rogers Place.
Oh yeah, dope. Okay.
Yeah. That was my first show there, possibly my only show there. It was like having a song play and then people are just like filming themselves while the song's playing. I was like, this is weird. Like I hadn't been to anything like that. I hadn't been to that level.
Dude, I saw Kanye West with the floating stage in Rogers Place. That's the one show that I've seen there. That shit was insane, man.
I saw going to the dark tour there. But no, don't go on the dark tours before Rogers Place got built. But that was also pretty creative. That had something. That wasn't just like, I don't know. It was weird experiencing it that way, whereas people were kind of in their seats and being like, I'm in this experience, and like videotaping themselves.
Yeah, arena shows are weird, man. It's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I like this.
Yeah,
but I did really enjoy that percussion section. I did really enjoy that horn section, and it was totally worth it just for those two things.
For real, man. Speaking of big names coming through town, how important is it to open for them?
How important is it to open for big names? Today?
Today? Like, I mean, yeah, in this day and age, sure, yeah.
What's your goal as far as being an artist?
That's a good question. Yeah. That's another thing I ask people. How famous are you trying to be?
Because I've met people that all they want is the clout, man. And if all you want is the clout, then yeah, it's a great decision. If that's all you want, that's not a bad decision. You'll get some good photos out of that. You'll be able to tell a story out of that. And people will be like, what? Yeah, right. Because they don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't say it's bad. It depends on what your goals are.
For real.
If you're telling me you want to be a musician with a longevity in your career, then, that's a different answer. But yeah, you just want the clout. You want to take some good photos. Get some crowd. The crowd's like it's your crowd. It's like it's your crowd.
Yeah.
They won't know the difference in the, yeah, I get it.
So earlier you said you're not concerned about trying to make money off of this specifically because you got the grant for it. But I feel like you're an artist who hasn't really been, I don't know, making art throughout your career as like a money chase, really, right? Like,
yeah. And that's by design. That's also like a privilege of like, I have music jobs and then I got my art that I can just make. So like the music jobs pay usually enough at some point that I can like take a vacation or I can make a project. And a lot of times I choose to make a project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have to be motivated by clout or money.
What would you say the motivation is for making music at this point in your life?
All right. So there's this like understanding that I'm an extremely unique being, right? Like the mixes of human being that I am, being like Jamaican and Dominican, which Dominica is not Dominican Republic. It's like a tiny ass island, smaller than Edmonton. And there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history, colonial history, like the last bit of like the whole uproar in the Caribbean was fought there. The only reserve in all of the Caribbean is on Dominica, in Dominica. So it's a lot there.
And is
like
that because it was like unceded land, or like how did it end up being the only reserve? What does that even mean? The only reserve?
Okay, so I
like reserve in the sense that we use that word in Canada? Okay.
Yeah, it's colonial reserve.
Okay.
So like something that is interesting about studying like an island's history and its colonial history is that they do the same thing. Like Turtle Island and Jamaica Island don't have that different of like strategies. It's just like Turtle Island is much bigger than Jamaica Island.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the colonizers took the same strategies from place to place and ran that same
you can
game.
learn quite a bit from studying like islands history. Like colonial history will teach you a lot because that's where they first landed. So like Christopher Columbus landed somewhere people believe around Bahamas. That was the New World, right? So there's that. Like these are the first people to come in contact with them. They know the most about the weaknesses that exist, before they learned how to finesse everybody, right? And like I'm all the way up here in Alberta, like I'm all the way up here in like minus 40 ass Alberta from that history, from these histories.
So unique
and like
blend
all
for
I
sure,
know
man.
and all I know is Edmonton, Alberta, right? So I got this history and this body that's only existed here. So when I meet other people from other places who are similar backgrounds, we're not the same. So yeah, man, I'm old enough that I'm like, yo, I'm a unique human being who should at least be documenting what this existence is like, through the histories I'm learning through my own family, through my own being. And it involves a lot of other people because island people were also basically, a mix of all the people who had the wackest, like who pulled the short end of the straw, like short straw, like that's of every culture ended up on the islands. And they're treated that way in most of the time in their cultures. If they're Jamaican, Chinese, Jamaican, whatever, and they go back to their cultures, the cultures kind of look down on them. Like, yeah, you were one of those guys. So like there's no purer form of the struggle than like when we talk about capitalism and this colonial structure than these people, like the people I come from. And then I'm here, which is like actively still, extracting and actively still at war with the people, the indigenous people. And okay, like I've now looked at the history and you think about like, man, what would I have done if I was there? Like I'm here and I'm here now. And it is not as simple as like, I would have fought.
Right.
Like it's not that simple.
Yeah. It's an easy thing to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. So what does it really look like? And yeah, man, like I think art is a good way, or is the way, like I think art is that bridge of like doing something that it's righteous if it's pure, like if it's coming from a pure place. And I think there's a power to that where you can say things that need to be said that someone else would have said it would have got them fucked up.
Yeah.
So, what does that responsibility mean? What do I do with that? Like I'm not gonna rap about the things you would expect a rapper to rap about with all of this that is my identity.
Yeah, that's a great answer, man. Let's go on with more of these. How important is how important is it to fit the current trends? How about that? We touched on it a little bit earlier. I mean, yeah.
What is your goal? What is your goal?
Well, so typically I would think, if my goal is to be as big and famous as I can, you want to make trendy music that matches the current trends. But we just finished saying that's not your goal. So why bother incorporating new?
Yeah, I would say that like if your goal is to be the person you got to actually be ahead of the trends. You got to know where trends are coming from and learn those trends before they get to the market that you're in. Right? So it's not even about like being on the trend when the trend gets there. The trend got there, you were behind. People already went to the studio. People already wrote. People already paid writers to write.
Yeah.
You are behind, you know, like you messed it. You messed up. You missed the boat. You didn't get on the boat.
Yeah. So it depends what you want to do then, eh?
It depends on what you want to do. And if you do want to do that thing, do it properly. Don't jump on late. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yo, like you can't. What are you doing? You know, I get annoyed with that too, where it's like, yo, if you're gonna do the thing, do the thing. Like it's something you want to do for real, for real. There's too much of this, like, yo, I want to be famous. And like, do you really want to be famous? Are we really saying what we're saying? And most of the time, no, we're not saying what we're saying. We don't want that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's fine. But now you're also like 1 foot out, that's not fine. You know, like now you're doing all these things that celebrities are doing, but you're not a celebrity. And your friends are looking at you a certain way. You like, I got haters now. No, you don't got haters. You just acting a fool because you ain't done that work. So, you know, it is what it is, and people are who they are. But I just feel like, yo, if you're gonna do a thing, do it all the way. This half, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Torment. Why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Love yourself.
I like that, man. How about this one, dude? How important are music videos in 2024? Something I've been kicking around for a while because everybody wants to, you know, have music videos and the rollout strategies you see people try to promote, you know, say you should have a music video ready to go before you promote your music or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you stand with music videos?
I've always been really picky about music videos. So like even before now, like I used to not like how little thought artists put into getting a music video shot. Like they literally just be like, all right, I'm gonna shoot in front of this wall, and I'm gonna shoot in front of that wall, and I'm gonna shoot in my car. I'm gonna shoot in this bed with one woman who's, you know, like
who I paid from the strip club.
My cousin. No, they don't even have that. They have like my cousin's friend, you know.
Okay,
like,
sure, yeah.
Cousin knows a girl.
Yeah.
Right, like, and to me, that's just so disrespectful to the art form. You know, that's like a videographer getting on the mic and releasing a song. Right? Like, respect the craft. You're
Get
not
an
a
actual videographer to do it. Yeah.
Allow them to hear the music. Give them time to hear the music. Allow them to draw a storyboard. Give them the money they need to tell a story with the song that you're giving them.
Kick around some concept ideas, maybe. Yeah.
Respect the craft. So I think that long time the craft is not being respected. I think like Kanye was one of the last, you know, Kanye West. I'm not allowed to say that name these days.
No, I know. I felt that even just mentioning that I'd seen the guy in concert.
Yeah. He did it to himself, though. He did it to himself.
He did. Yeah.
And he's been doing it since the beginning. So, you know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I don't remember what we're not supposed to be talking about Kanye.
About videos, about how he was one of the last ones who respected the art form of video, maybe.
He had the best videos for a long time. For a long time, if Kanye West was releasing a video, he got the best directors, was pushing limits every time. And then he released that damn motorcycle one with his ex-wife.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
And it was like the first time it was terrible in a long time. And it was like I felt like we were being trolled. I was like, this is a troll. I felt like a lot of things after that.
Dude, I have felt like that guy is trolling for a long time now. And I'm starting to lose that feeling. Now I'm just like, okay, maybe it wasn't all trolling and he's not. Okay,
but I think guessing is a part of being his game. Yeah.
Who knows?
Are we gonna have a Kanye conversation on your podcast?
No, we don't need to talk about that.
Right. All right, we're not talking about it.
I mean, whatever, we could, but yeah, I don't think we need to. We don't
need to, but like, okay, so are we going to?
Sure, do it.
I'll say in relation to like hip hop is that He's an example of like the skill set, the skill tree of just being a really great tastemaker. From the bottom up, from the samples he selected, from the writers who wrote his songs, from the way he arranged his drums, from the drums he selected, from the fashion he
To what he
selected,
was
from the
rapping
women he
about, man.
selected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all of it. Yeah.
all of it was just great taste making.
When he came up,
The
people
best.
weren't rapping in the mainstream about working at the Gap, right? That was
Yeah, I know. So that's what we witnessed when we witnessed Kanye West. We witnessed someone who like took the taste making to the max and became a billionaire with their ability to just pick the right thing often enough.
yeah.
And it's like I feel honored that I watched that, and at the same time, we are disgusted to like like ew, that's what it became. And at the same time, he didn't really promise us anything else. He's like, yo, I'm so self-conscious. I'm gonna act a fool. No one man should all have all this power, right? Like he never promised us no prettiness in it. He showed it to us. It's gross. We don't want to look at it,
Yeah.
but it's the maximum of what we were. It's the maximum level of what we've been, celebrating this whole time. So there is like a okay, Kanye, if this is your final art, to just show us a mirror of like how ugly it can get and how ugly it got. Possibly this is the greatest Kanye West performance he could offer us.
That could be. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't like looking at it, man. We don't like talking about it.
Yeah, it's like a train wreck, man. It's you almost...
And it's just the max of everything he raps about. It's the maximum level. Money, maximum level. Women, maximum, right? Like it's just an exaggeration of everything we've ever like danced to.
Yeah.
When we're talking about like that era. So
he was probably right, man. No one man should have all that power. Yeah. God,
he told us. He told us. We gave it to him anyways. So this is why I'm like, man, this might be the mirror we need to look at.
For real. Let's shift gears out of Kanye West and talk more of these how important questions. How important is paid advertising, man? You gonna do any paid advertising for this new one? Is there room in the grant budget for that?
Okay, like, well, what are my goals? So it all goes back to what are my goals? Are my goals to like get this into the public's hands so that they could be like, wow, like I don't know at all what he's talking about or who these artists are in Edmonton. Not really. So like,
I don't think it would go over that many heads. Are you talking about that? I mean, I know the Edmonton scene, but I don't feel like I was picking up a bunch of references to like, oh, only Edmonton guys would know that.
No.
Is it full of that?
It's full of a lot of Edmonton references. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of there's I like the red versus blue.
Right.
Like there's levels of entendres in there. But I'm talking about my neighborhood. Which you could, if you live in the neighborhood, you can catch that.
Actually, as I was listening to that the other day, man, I was thinking to myself, like, I've seen gangs that wear all red in Edmonton. I don't know, like, are there Crips in Edmonton? Are there Edmonton Crips? Is that a thing?
Not as many. I was talking about
you were talking about the cops, right? Like in most of that, I heard, but a few of the bars made me think, like, but also, is there that level to this here?
There are. Yeah, there are. It does get there.
Yeah.
And then there's a level of just sports. We're talking about Edmonton and Calgary.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I missed that one. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, red and blue,
yeah. You could take it on all those levels and be equally content. However you're taking it in, but yeah, it's a very and maybe that does mean I should get some online ads going because there are these levels to it that I have built into it. But yeah, my first concern is making sure like the community who I've taken music from, rap to, in honor of hip hop, understand that it's in honor of hip hop, and from there we can make some decisions. Like I think if people are like, yo, this has got to blow up, this has got to be up. Like okay, well we can look at what that looks like. We need ads if we're doing that. We need features if we're doing that. Like I want to get instrumentalists on it. So that's something I think will happen regardless. But yeah, it's very much the process is the product. I got paid ahead of time. We don't got to worry about ads.
Fair enough.
We don't have to, but if we want to, we can.
I'm going to guess that same answer will kind of roll into this, but how important is pressing vinyl or physical copies at all?
Okay, so I would shift that one into like the documenting.
Okay.
So yeah, that would, like I think why I'm doing this is make sure it's documented, and I'm not putting on no CD because CDs didn't last. Like I have enough experience where I had a CD in a case, I had a CD maybe in a booklet, and I go to listen to the CD years later, and somehow scratches all over the CD. I'm like, how? You just been sitting here this whole time.
I've got an old roommate to blame for that on my CD collection, man. Fucking pissed me off.
Yeah, yeah. But they're just not like they're not that. It's not durable. Not durable.
Yeah.
So yeah, CD would be out. Vinyl I would consider. Vinyl has been proven to last way longer than the CDs.
I mean, unless it gets hot or
yeah, but even then, it's warbly. It's not like,
but yeah.
You can't listen to a CD when there's one ass scratch.
True, yeah, it ruins it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, like warbly. Like okay, it's warbly, but it's there.
Yeah,
I know what I can know. There's something there.
Have you ever pressed vinyl before? Is any of your stuff on vinyl? Yeah, it's expensive as hell, man.
Yeah, it is. Like there would definitely have to be a reason behind it. And if the reason was just like, yeah, this is something that needs to be documented and archived, that's the reason enough for me. This would be the first project that I would consider, like, because I did make it for documentation purposes as well, right? So, yeah, that wouldn't be so far out of the question.
Do you feel like this album is like a real level up from your last stuff?
Yeah. This album is for sure like I never really got a chance to put like my spoken word chops and my rap chops together, my production chops together all at once. Like I was kind of at different levels with things at different points. So this is the first time I've kind of had them all like up to par with each other and putting them into one project. Yeah. So yeah, I would say yes.
Have you put more time into this one than other albums? Like, didn't you do Grillios in like 2 sessions or something?
Yeah.
Shit. I don't actually remember. But
yeah. No, it was one quick session.
Yeah, one session. Yeah,
it was one session.
That's wild, man.
Which the album in a day concept. Album in a day concept is a great concept. I 100%. I want to run that as an event every few months or something. Where just, anyways.
I like that idea, man. That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about that. This one I took about a week to write it. There's still some songs lingering, so that is extending the time. But the tracks you had, and like what I also, because originally what I promised the Arts Council was, I think, 7 songs.
Okay.
But it's like we're at like 14 or 15 right now. So technically, what I promised, I finished in that week. And that's when I was gonna rush it, but then it started to come out real good, and I was like, shit, I
think they'll be happy. Under promise, over deliver, right? That's what you always want to
do. Yeah. So and like again, like it was, I didn't plan it to be that dope. It was just really dope. It's been a long time. Like, like letting out that first. Whoa.
For real. How about this? You work with the youth, so can I ask you, like, if you had to give just one tip, if you had one tip to give to the youth of the world that want to make hip hop, what would it be?
I think that it would be a big part of hip hop is preserving life. And that means a lot of things. But I'm definitely seeing an absence of it in the understanding of hip hop with younger people. Like that part's really missing, whether it's like doing the things for the clout that then gets you in a box,
Yeah.
put it in a box, or whether you get touched in less than cuddly ways. These are consequences to like not valuing life. That also says something about our youth, right? Like it's not this thing, we're like drill music is causing these deaths. Like no, like let's
Yeah.
go back to you guys, illegally dismantling the structure that was holding together a lot in these communities, and we're still feeling the consequences of today. So, an understanding of that, when we talk about preserving life and like what that leadership meant and where we got to continue to build on that. And we got to understand how it happened to get back to that point.
Do you think that modern drill is any more negative than gangster rap has been for 20 or 30 years prior? Like, I feel like there's always been kind of a lot of negativity and like promotion of death and violence and drugs and
Yeah, there has. And there was a line you wouldn't cross because it would get you locked up. And the difference is that line is getting crossed.
Okay.
Thus, people are getting locked up, right? So that's like saying names. Like you don't make songs about names of the things you did.
Right.
This is very prominent. So it's like this thing that's like it's the same, but it's also you cross this line that's like makes it way more shocking, but also like, bro, you're going to jail now. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And off to jail they go, or worse, So that that part is different.
Yeah.
But it's not different content. No, like the murder. It's just like way more detail and like times and names. And you're like, bro,
Right. Yeah.
rap snitches telling all their business. Show up in court, really almost my witness.
Hell yeah,
Like,
man. It's one of
what are
the
we
best
doing?
MF Doom songs right there, man.
No.
Dude, you mentioned that you don't like to go out and perform the same shit on different stages. So, how important is it to be able to freestyle? I feel like that's a way that you probably lean on to change up your performances, event to event or whatever, right? You're a guy who can
Yeah.
freestyle his ass off. So, like,
Yeah.
is that an important skill for an MC to have?
It's an important skill to have in life. And like, what I'll say is like freestyle. I've never in my life come close to failing like a interview. Like I either just don't get called, but I've never been surprised by a question, right? Like these are the things that knowing how to freestyle, which is think quickly, specifically with words, but there's freestyle dance, there's freestyle anything.
Yeah.
The ability to think quickly. So it's a very useful skill. And yeah, I would encourage everybody, if this is the thing you want to do, if you want to be an MC, because you said it's important for an MC to have.
I did, yep.
Yeah. And if you're an MC, you want to be an MC, like a part of that is mastery. A part of mastery is wordsmithing. And if you can get to a level with freestyle where you're transcending your inner voice. You're just receiving.
Yeah.
And you're letting things form.
Dude,
They're not even your ideas.
That's
anymore.
a weird feeling, like something else is pouring through you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation the last.
Okay.
The last.
We might have, yeah.
But it's that flow because we also talked about Pixar movies and whatnot. But yeah, I would say how I've graduated from that idea at this point is that when we're talking about improvisation and that as an art form, hip hop even to a certain extent, there's art as an academic field and art as a spiritual field are two completely different things. And something I've learned about the Arts Council is that they don't actually have no tools for the spiritual acknowledgement of art. And that is like art is life and death. Art for some people changes everything. And if you're looking at it and you're like, well, this person here has their master's in sculpture though. Versus like this person needs this art to live. And you're actually looking at these two things as even grounded things. You know, like I've learned that no, there's actually two separate worlds.
When you say that this person needs the art to live, you mean like they need to create art to live, or like that's their income, they need it to live? Like in
Oh, I mean, like both you and I have worked in spaces where when you introduce art into the equation, something's different. They go home different.
Yeah.
There's a peace, a tranquility. And as soon as you take it out, it's like, yo, what happened? You haven't seen you for 5 days.
Right.
Oh, damn, you wouldn't believe. And it's like, yo, it's because they didn't have you're doing art with them every day. And maybe one day, you know, holiday or something. And you don't see them for a week.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you and I have that understanding in the jobs that we've taken on. We know there are people who this is life. And there's nothing that acknowledges that. There's nothing like formally that acknowledges that. Other than like when they're taking that right away from us. You can't drum. You can't freestyle drum, sucker. You out here in a circle?
Yeah.
You out here in a circle? Unless you're singing in the choir, you best not be out here in a circle. Right? Like, that's the only time it's really recognized. And I think that's also the showing us where we hold the most power when we're creating.
For real. Yeah, man. Since you're a producer too, I want to ask you this one, and then I swear I'm done with these how important ones. But how important is the gear you're producing on?
Very important.
Yeah.
Not in like, you know, like you need the best gear, but in something that connects you to the way your brain works. So you're also talking to like someone. I have a lot of gear. I've collected a lot of gear. I'm working on making that gear available to the community through rental, but that's a lot. You got to figure out insurance and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. But like what I recognize is that like there's certain gear that's built by someone who had a brain like yours, and there's certain gear that's built by someone who had a brain that was nothing like yours, and you don't know until you try it. So like a lot of times you're out here buying gear, trying to find the right thing that clicks, and one might have this but doesn't have that, and so now you have MIDI working through 4 pieces of gear because you wanted this one thing. And there's always the one thing, which you may not. It might have been made 20 years ago. It might have been made 30 years ago. It's $60. You can find that one thing. Yeah. It's there. And yeah, to connect to that, like that's when you have gear that breaks your creative flow. Because this gear that's like, oh shit, you gotta load this, or the computer, bloop, something pops up, right? Like there's shit that breaks
that's the worst, shit, man. Yeah, when tech interrupts your creative flow, fuck.
Yo, when you got gear that works with your brain, like 8 hours passes, and you're like, what the hell? I thought that was a half hour. And that's what happens when you have the right gear. So gear matters a lot, not in the material way. There's a lot of cheap gear that you can get that really helps just flow, right? Like creative flow. I have a wheel. What is it? The circle of fifths on a screen, and I look at that. And like that helps my flow. There's no machine that has a circle of fifths. There are machines that kind of do now. Like.
Is that some music theory shit? I don't know. I'm not. What the fuck is a circle of fifths?
So like when you learn keys, there are certain keys that sound good next to each other. So like progressions move based on this.
Right. So it's like the color wheel, and this one goes with that one or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay. And there's like minors that match the majors, so it's like a cheat sheet.
Right.
It's really helpful. Like it help me build this album. Helps me all the time.
I've come across one of those at some point and been like, well, I'm not fucking around making beats, so I don't need to concern myself with this.
Yeah. But, yeah. It definitely is like a beat thing. And it's like the alternative is like learning music theory, which I was afraid of like losing what made me like I knew that I could make a better hip hop beat than like a pianist.
Sure.
Like they could be the best pianist ever, but they can't make a better hip hop.
And that the master's degree isn't necessarily going to make them a dope hip hop producer. Yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't want to lose that. So the Circle of Fists was a real like great way to just like apply what I already knew to music theory versus like learning music theory, forgetting how I was just doing things naturally and becoming just super generic.
Right
because I learned from academic, what do you call it? What is it? Industrial system, industrial complex.
The industrial complex. Yeah, there you go. Makes us all good little factory workers and shit.
Making the same ass shit, man.
Yeah. Okay, so we're over time already. I appreciate you spending all this time talking to me, man. To wrap up here, can I get you to describe the Edmonton hip hop scene? I'm pretty sure I got you to do this last time, or if I didn't directly ask it, you told me your opinion of the Edmonton hip hop scene, and it was it was worth hearing. But I want to hear it again, man.
Hey, I didn't get to that part. I listened to our last one, but I didn't go all the way to the end. So now I'm like, oh damn it! What did I say? I don't want to repeat myself. I want to build on things.
From what I can remember, you told me that Edmonton had the best hip hop scene in Canada. I'm pretty sure you made that argument.
North America. Yeah.
Right. You did even go even wider than Canada, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I would say that I'm a lot of the things that I'm building towards documenting is building that case. I might absolutely be wrong because I haven't been everywhere in North America.
Sure.
I've been to a lot of places. I've been to a lot of major cities that supposedly had better scenes than us, and I disagreed most of the time. A lot of this project is like, I'll back up what I'm saying. Like, come, like I have no fear of it, and I am happy, to find the other hidden gems, the other hidden meccas that exist. Who else had some sort of immigrant coming from New York who introduced hip hop that we don't know about, right? Like, we're just one. And, we talked about Halifax being one of the others. I did check out some of those recommendations because I had some in there. So yeah, like, like I love that. I'm not going to be mad to be proven wrong, but I'm also like, y'all, a lot of this shit y'all put out is weak. So prove me wrong, like, K-Riz, I put him up, listen to the K-Riz and tell me you can make better music than that. Selassie, I put him up. Listen to Selassie Dress and tell me you can make better music than him. Show me better music in your city. Like, it won't be clean cut. It might be close. Who are the guys? Seven Side Smoke.
At a certain Seven Side Smoke, I've been seeing him making noise lately, man. Yeah, I think he's like fresh out of the Bing or whatever, and now he's back making music.
Self the Bluest Eye.
Yep.
Right, like,
two of these guys are now in Calgary, though.
I know.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say,
everybody's jumping ship to the warmer climate or something.
The economic times, man. What can I say? That's real, man. That's real. So we out here migrating because we getting displaced. But like, I have a list of people I will put up, and you gotta produce something that's like producing good music. Like, we got bars and we got music. We got good writers here. So, and some of the best freestylers, right? Like,
how about as far as connectivity and who's working with who? Do you think that there's barriers in Edmonton still? Because that's what a lot of people from Edmonton have been telling me, is that, there's all this talent, but everybody's kind of disjointed or whatever. Not even just Edmonton, people from all their cities. I feel like that's the most common answer I get here, is that like everybody's talented, but they just don't fuck with each other.
And it goes back to like, what is your goal with this culture? Like, what are you trying to achieve through this culture we call hip hop? And if you're trying to achieve a business and a business model, we need an export system, which currently for hip hop, we don't have one. We use America's system, which is they fuck with America. We're another country to them. Like, why are they gonna, like, we're Canada and we don't have a distribution system. So we have grants to kind of fill in for that. right? Like grants don't really exist in the States like this. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, not
But
at all.
we don't have a distribution system. We just out here in the middle of nowhere in the cold, cost us mad gas money to tour that you don't have to pay. You know, like you don't understand. We do need this money to actually sustain.
Well, there's
So
just
like
millions and millions more people in America to support you. You know, you'll find
absolutely.
people who like the music out there someplace
Absolutely.
in America. Yeah.
But we do move oil around, right? Like we're talking about Alberta.
Yeah.
We do have an export system that runs like so. There are systems that do move things. How do we make those same systems that exist work for us in music? Like, can we use them to move music? Can we use these same? Like, you know, if you go to the airport, how many flights do you see to Texas from Alberta?
Oof, that just made me think though, man. Do we want like big business trying to resource extract talent out of here though?
Oof. That's a question you gotta ask. Again, that comes with what do you want out of this? Because you gotta be ready to defend it as well, right? Like that's how colonization works. You garden this thing to be this beautiful thing, and someone's just gonna pick up your flowers, man, and give them some to their wife for Valentine's Day, right? Like that's how this shit works. So we can't defend our flowers. We ain't got no fucking jaguars in there to fucking rip someone's face off when they come through. Dense forestry, earthquakes maybe could help. You know, floods.
Forest fires every summer.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot that goes with building what we talk about building, but we do have to take it that seriously because there's not only building it but protecting it once we built it.
Yeah.
Because they will come for it and they will corrupt it. You don't have the things there to protect it. You know, but we have examples, you know, like juggalos. I was talking about them today in my class. Sorry, we were about to end this.
No, keep going, man. I'm not in any rush. If you want to talk about juggalos, I talked to Comrade and Pat from Brothers Grimm last week, and they brought up juggalos. I don't know if you saw that clip, but I made a little clip about it even.
Yeah, I caught that. I talked about them today because the students were amazed that I opened up for Tech9. And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. That they didn't even know Tech9 was as big as he was when I opened up for him. Like they thought it was going to be a small show. They were understaffed. They had like it was pretty interesting. But that was my first introduction to juggalos. But that's a culture that they have their own shit. They have their own export system. They have their own gathering and networking. They have wrestlers in wrestling. They have it's their own shit, and you can't infiltrate it and you can't do your shit with their shit. They have things there protecting their shit. They have their own merch, all of that, right? So it's being done. It's not this thing that we can't do. And you also were talking about Baxwar in that clip as well.
Yeah.
And that was us coming close to it. Like that was also proof that we could, if we shifted things, make it so we're benefiting ourselves and not some dude in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Probably doing blow. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably true. I don't know the guy, but who knows?
No, man. If you looked at he was tweeting and shit. Like, what are you doing? No, man. No, there was things involved, bro.
Yeah, I would agree. But the Juggalos though, they're like one of the best examples, or Tech9, either of those guys. Is Tech9's not actually considered part of the Juggalo movement though, is he?
No, he's respected. My understanding is like he reps certain levels of face paint that is respected. Again, they have their own code. I'm not going to pretend to know it.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's what preserves their shit, right? I don't know it, and it's not just out there. You have to be a part of the culture.
Right. So, I was just going to say though, either of those examples are perfect examples of what you could do as an indie. Like of what any artist who starts to blow up could generate around themselves and with their community.
Well,
but a lot of guys, instead of going that route, they just signed to some major, right?
I think also understanding that like most people who blow up were created by a community of corporate overlords.
Yeah.
But a community nonetheless. Like you have to choose who your champion is. We as a community, we have to be like, yo, this is the one we're all going to get behind. And what's my role now in making sure we all move together? But we haven't ever chosen someone. Like we don't have a chosen one. The states they choose, they have their chosen ones. The whole city of Atlanta will be like, this person is coming up, and they'll push that person up.
Yeah.
We need that. We need that happening. So like understanding that it's strategic. It's not no It's not an algorithm, believe it or not. It is an algorithm in a real social world, you know, like not this fabricated social network. We got to create our own algorithms within people, within communities. We have people in this community who have money at this point, right? Like we have 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds in our community. So they've made their money. They're showing money. They want to invest in things. We're not giving them a reason to invest in this because we're not unified enough. When we're actually talking about unity, it's not just saying the word.
Yeah.
Unity means, okay, what are we getting behind? We share enough of our values that we can make a thing to get behind. You understand just a little bit about hip hop, don't bite, you know, like the basics, right? Like we have enough to get behind a thing. But we have to decide.
And dude, there's so much talent out there. Dice and I are playing an hour's worth of fucking independent artists from across the country every week. Every goddamn week we find, and we never play anything, never anything twice. Every week it's a new hour worth of music that's just dropped from dope motherfuckers across the country. It's just a matter of figuring out how do we get people to engage with that, right? Like, do we need to put on a fucking festival and get everybody in one spot? Like, is it about the live show? Is that, I don't know, man. These are the questions.
So I learned about emo music, and yo, please, when you edit this, just make 2 parts. You know, like the last one we had was like 2 hours. That's why I didn't watch the complete, and I watched like an hour and a half of it.
Yeah,
I couldn't get all the way to the very end. Made this 2 because I learned about emo music just today. So I'm like a teacher's helper who graduated into somewhat of a teacher who now has somewhat of a teacher's helper. And this guy also worked at iHuman. So he's cool dude. He broke down emo because he's getting pissed off about emo being like miscategorized. And he showed us emo like what it was supposed to be. And he's like, yo, in the early 2000s, that's called the third wave. So they had their shit organized in waves. And that's the first thing that caught. It's like, yeah, first wave emo was this, and it goes back to the 80s. He's like, then you had second wave emo. He's like, you get to the 2000s, this is third wave emo. This is where you get like your My Chemical Romance. And like, actually, the emo scene rejects this is emo because emo's supposed to be like really DIY. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah.
So third wave got too shiny for them.
Yeah. So now you got fourth wave, and that's the revival wave. And they
where it's now mixed with hip hop, where instead of having a band, you're just singing emo over drums. Because I feel like that's a wave of hip hop, right? Like
so that's a wave of hip hop, but that pulls from the third wave, and because that's not really respected in the emo world, it's still on the outside. It is a part of it, but it's like, and like I started being like, oh shit, this is like when, you know, Nas was like, yo, hip hop is dead. Like y'all had a similar, y'all called it and like referred to it in way more organized ways that help you keep track of what's what, you know? Like, I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like that you have this way of identifying. We'll be like, yo, golden era. But outside of that, you know, we got golden era.
Decades. I feel like people talk decades or whatever, you know, the 90s, the 80s.
That's not efficient, right? Like, because in the decades you had so much of everything.
Variety.
You're not really saying anything when you're talking about like in the 90s. Like, I think the 90s was the closest thing to like a sound.
Yeah. But even then, you had Shiny Suit Diddy and Mace, and you also had Wu-Tang Forever,
Straight up. It was like a small, like, 3-year window of, like, everyone was like, okay, this is what it is. And then after that 3 years, it just exploded again, which is great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we haven't organized or documented it as well as they have. So they're like, okay, this is third wave. Throw that out. Or, like, we acknowledge that it exists, but we know what it is. And we know how to track its bastard children. You know, they're like, and I'm like, yo, I think hip hop would also benefit from that, like, you know, like having just a more educated understanding of like when you're talking about hip hop and when they're talking about hip hop, it's two completely different things. But we don't have no way of really separating that shit. Like, we'll be like drill or we'll be like trap.
Yeah, I was just gonna say trap and drill are kind of what I would consider, you know, like these new. Like, to me, that's still hip hop. To me, it's all still hip hop. If you're rapping over some drums, you're making what I'm gonna call hip hop.
I think at some point it becomes pop. Like, I think at some point it's not hip hop anymore. And I again,
well, and then there's the cultural lean to it too, that like hip hop is the culture and rap is the music or whatever. So yeah, that becomes complicated as well. But I don't know. When I'm organizing my iTunes library, it all goes in the hip hop folder, even though I know this is a trap song, this is boom bap or whatever, right?
Think about that. Think about that when we're talking about now you're trying to run a radio show that you're trying to identify as this kind of hip hop. We don't even have any, we need like 5 words to actually categorize this kind of hip hop, but we're just calling it hip hop.
Yeah.
That creates what we're talking about where there's a disconnect because someone sees there's a hip hop show. One person is thinking drill, one person's thinking trap, one person's thinking Run DMC, one person's thinking Tribe Called Quest, one person's thinking Will Smith.
Well, so I mean, I'm gonna go boom bap is one, trap and drill I kind of categorize together. I mean, and then there's like this new age like drumless boom bap where it's like just put on a soul sample and let me rhyme with no fucking drums. Even that shit drives Dice crazy every time I say it. Boom bap,
which is literally an onomatopoeia. Is that the one? When the sound,
yeah.
Boom bap is literally an onomatopoeia,
right?
And we're calling a type of music that doesn't even contain.
Yeah, the drumless, drumless boom bap. Yeah, of course.
But think about that. Like, yo, we need a more efficient way to classify this. It doesn't work.
All right, so maybe this is like wave 2 boom bap.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if they're waves. I don't know. But just seeing how organized that was and how like he's able to be like, yeah, this, that. But what about the hip hop part? No, that's a part of this. Like, oh, I see that now. Okay. And I'm like, oh shit, we don't have nothing like this in hip hop. Like, you got to go through this gauntlet of like what you believe hip hop is.
Yeah.
To like get to like, okay, this is hip hop, and everybody has a completely different answer of it, completely different experience and reality, and maybe that's a beautiful part of it. I don't know, but as far as what we're talking about in like, I have this hour long. That's how good the music is right now. But how do you communicate that without like confusing people with whatever they believe you're saying? But it's going to be what they think, not what you're saying.
That's the question, man. How do you do it? Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah, when I think about us as a business, and like entrepreneurialism is its own element in the gospel of hip hop.
Right.
Like doing business is a thing we should know how to do, and we don't. We don't. We know how to hustle to a certain point, but we don't know how to like collectively make moves, and we get taken advantage of because of that.
Yeah.
So, I believe those are things we need to figure out. If this thing is if we want money, you guys like money? Yeah, we like money. Okay, guys, we gotta like organize a little bit. We gotta think about marketing a little bit deeper than what we're paying into, because there's someone marketing to us to pay into that. Right? Like that's also a business. And everybody makes money off of hip hop, yo. Everybody.
Yeah.
Except for hip hop. So we gotta figure out ways of like not just giving away the juice every single time. And like we give away the perpetual licenses.
Hey, here's a good question. Coming off of that, is your new one gonna go to Spotify? Are you doing Spotify anymore? Or what's your thoughts on Spotify?
No, I said don't do Spotify. Like beginning of COVID, I was like, yo, man, these guys crooked. I looked at their business model. It was this model where it's like you get this slice of the pie, and you got that slice of the pie no matter how much the audience, how many artists grew on that platform, how many more were there, you got the same slice.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is gonna go down. Like it can't go any other way unless they start failing. Then it goes. That's the only way the artist wins, and they're not in it to fail. So from the jump, I was like, yo, this is doo doo. This is a doo doo deal. Yeah. They were like, no, you gotta have Spotify listeners to get any show. All right. So the shows that I'm not getting paid for very well enough to get my DJ, what he's worth, those shows, that's what I should be giving the rights to my art away to, so that I can get streamed, so that they can make money for ads, so that I can make pennies.
And so that the general population can run around thinking that music is free, That's,
What are we doing? So, like that one has been one that I was being adamantly against for a minute. I'm like, that's not it. Trust me, it's not it. I was just reading, I didn't do any extra research other than just reading the terms and conditions. It's like, yo, these are messed up.
So, but serious question though, man. Like, what the fuck is the alternative? Get grants and not care about who actually listens to the music?
No.
As a Canadian, maybe, right? But like,
so I think again, understanding what these things are. Like, this is a tool that is making money off of our belief that it's going to blow us up. It needs us to believe that. So it's going to pay into all the things that tell us that it's going to work. What are the actual results, though?
Not right? That, like, most of the time.
It's not one of the alternatives. It's like, yo, we got to think about alternatives. What the fuck? Why we do it? Look at the results. Yo, we got enough results at this point. And we getting paid 0.003 cents at this point.
If you get 1,000 streams every whatever it is. Yeah.
Having that conversation. You're absolutely right. What are the alternatives?
They just keep adding clauses. Yeah.
That's wild that that's not the conversation every time. It's wild that people are still like, yo, you Spotify ain't popping. You're welcome.
Yeah. And that the conversations I see are people talking about like how to get on the best playlists or whatever, like how to yeah, you know.
And no, I made playlists because I couldn't find like clean playlists to play during basketball while we were painting these basketball courts.
Right.
I made a playlist on Spotify that was accessible to everybody. Right? Like there's uses for it. I do have an account.
Oh yeah, if you type in ATSIC, ATSIC season 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all up there. You can see everything that I've played, everything that's on Spotify, right? Those playlists are there. Nobody ever fucking finds them or listens to them, but they're there. Everybody's just busy listening to Rap Caviar or fucking Northern Bars or whatever else, right?
So, like that situation where I'm making this playlist of clean basketball music, I wish there was an Edmonton genre or an Edmonton playlist that was clean and hype enough that I could warm up to. I would play that every time. Barbecues. We had family barbecues. There was an Edmonton playlist that I could play at a family barbecue. That's what I would throw on.
Yeah.
So we need to fill some of these things up, right? Like there's a lot of holes currently in the playlist world, right? Like there's a lot of needs for different things. Classrooms, I'm doing stuff, corporate, right? Like there's a lot of things that I can't play unless it's like super top 40.
Right.
Super duper top 40. Like ultimate top 40. That's all I can trust. And it's like, that should not be the case, man. Like there's so much music out there, and these are the only playlists I can find. Even when I type in clean basketball playlist, I find whack playlists, bro. So that's why I'm gonna challenge us as curators. Like where are these niches where there's holes? How can we fill those? And then we can talk about like, okay, now that we have like filled like who to get these to, because there's a whole shitload. There's a bunch of teachers who would love to play music in their classroom that's hip hop,
right,
but they cannot. They will lose their jobs immediately. And it takes someone like us who knows enough about music to put that together and curate that. And
it's got to be clean though. That's the tough part, man. Is clean.
But like it's hip hop, bro. We have it. It's out there, right? It's there. I've started building. It's not easy to find, but it is there.
Well, no, if I went through the ATSIC playlist, I could choose every 8th track off of it and be like, okay, this one's clean enough. You could play it in a classroom.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much doing. Yeah.
That's a new digging. That's a new, like there's honor in that. It's honor in like doing that work for somebody who's just trying to like educate the kids, expose the kids to something that ain't.
I've only got as far as here's fucking 43 hours of Canadian hip hop that came out last year that you should listen to. It's not clean, but it's fucking there, That's as far as I've got. But how do you get anybody to listen to it? That's I don't know. That's another question.
But these are good questions. These are the questions. Like, who wants to listen to it? Like, what are people missing? Because there's so many people discontent with what they believe hip hop is.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is mad openings to come in and be like, no, you missed this though while you were listening to that. Actually, you missed this. Actually, this. Right? So that's wide open. But we're actually slacking as curators because those playlists should be available. I should be able to type in clean.
Yeah, I resent that just a little bit. I am doing everything but slacking, KazMega. I put in 30 to 40 hours a week doing ATSIC and fly in formation, and I get $0 fucking back for it.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say I'm slacking over here with that sick, but
poor choice of words. What I'll say is like there's working
I'm not paying
smarter
for
or working harder.
I'm not paying for ads. That's something that I've been kicking around. Maybe I need to get the grant so that I can advertise AdSick on a national level. I don't know.
Working smarter versus working harder, right? Like that's more what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So poor choice of words and slacking because you might be working really hard but not getting the results, like not getting the thing. It's not generating the thing. It's hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not slacking. You in shape, but you're not moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. And like
the thing is just how do you access the crowd and how do you get the crowd to actually want to hear anything other than Drake on repeat?
It's a lot of research, man. It's a lot of like knowing your community. Like we don't talk enough to people. We don't do the things that we normally would have done to know more of this stuff. But like figuring out how to reconnect into these spaces. Like again, like just connect with your school and be like, yo, like, is anyone teaching hip hop? No, there's too many swears. Yo, I got this playlist and it's all educational stuff. You can learn about rocks. Look, here's a whole playlist on rocks.
Yeah.
Miss Rockerthan in the science class, right? Like, we are creative human beings. We are better than Drake playlists. We are better than a lot of what we think, you know, especially coming from Alberta, which is what I'm saying, bro. No one's listening. Ain't hearing me out here. We are special. We have answers. We are here based on like usually like really tough immigrants, you know, like needing work and not being afraid of working really hard.
Yeah.
So we got
everybody who's here moved from some fucking place around the world to
and was like
I'm to chase a thing. Yeah, to chase money. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a specific way of thinking because a lot of people not a lot of people are like, yo, I'll go to minus 40 and I'll make my fortune there. I'll tough it out. To have that mindset, that means you are a particular kind of personality in whatever tribe you came from.
It's actually
you were that dude.
Yeah, it's been striking to me talking to different artists from across the country how many of them have spent time living in Alberta because it's where you move to make some fucking money so that then you have some time to make art or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yep. So like we have the answers, right? Like we work hard, we know that, but like we can't just like work hard and like put our head down and work hard. That's what we're used to. Like bucket, work hard. I'm not gonna like no. We have to like look around, like work hard with the purpose, and we'll get what we want. I promise, because we got the work hard part already down.
Yeah.
We just don't know anything else, and that's like yo, hold it, stop. Look around. Where are you at right now? I didn't move at all. I know. We gotta do something different.
Yeah, I feel that, man. Not moving at all. Fuck. Yeah.
We're all in the same thing, but we're all like working real hard, like, and we're not slackers. We are the hardest workers in North America. Damn it, I said it. Say it again. Every time you interview me, we're gonna go deeper. We're gonna have more proof to back it up, and that's what we building here, man. We building. I said it, and I'm gonna stand on it. And I'm gonna be up on a thing, standing on a thing. I'm gonna have to climb down.
I mean, man, you don't draw the line in North America. You said that last time. I think this time go for the world, right? If we're the dopest in North America, then that, yeah, I mean.
But you're surprised me. Let me know that this is where I gotta like, okay, this is where I'm planting the flag, you know?
Okay.
Like you were like, I was like that gasp right there.
Well, to me, it's kind of blasphemy to call it anything other than New York, right? Like, New York is Mecca for hip hop, right?
Yeah, but when you learn, because even in the book, they talk about like it wasn't the first place, like it was different things coming together. Jamaica had a little bit of it, Latino community had a bit of it, you know, the Italians had a little bit. Everybody kind of brought there, and it was this perfect storm of people bringing things, right? So. Was it really New York, or was a part of it here developing that needed to eventually get to New York?
I mean, New York was like the melting pot the same way that Alberta is with everybody moving there, right?
So this is what I'm saying, right? Like, this is where I'm like, if you're going to honor New York, how could you not honor Alberta?
Yeah, I like that.
Which is also a melting pot, bringing these same mixes of things and creating a space where they could mix, right? Like, not everywhere can make these things mix like they can. Alberta's one of these places, one of these rare places. That we can add these African drums here because I live on 107 and all I hear is the dum 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 East African drum all day.
Right.
So I'm gonna throw that in here because I've been on the block and I bump that and they be like, yo, because I rented from homie who had the Habesha market. Because I eat at the restaurant over here, and I could play this in the spot. They'd be like, "Yo, these drums!" Right? Like, that's hip hop. And you can't do that in a lot of places.
Yeah. Or with a lot of different genres. Hip hop is beautiful that way, man. It allows for that.
Yeah, man.
We should wrap this up though, man. It's been almost 2 hours here. Let me ask, shows coming up, tours coming up that we can tell people about. Anything to promote?
I got a show on the 16th for an event called the Deep Throat Sessions.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
they go on there.
Interesting, I guess.
Yeah. I was kind of like, uh-oh. But there are some hip hop peoples on the panel. That I was like, you know what? If these guys are there, there's some legends too. You know, some people I look up to on the hip hop scene. They were on the panel. A lot of people I respect and love on the panel. Right away, I was like, all right, if this guy's doing it, I could do it.
So what?
The name concerned me at first, though.
What does it mean? Is the name just like a pause? Then it's actually just the hip hop show, or like what the fuck is it called? The Deep Throat Sessions.
I think they're going into like controversial conversations. Like I think it's like this open forum of no boundaries with where they're going with it. So I think they just open it up with a slap in the face. And if you didn't like it, go home because you ain't gonna like the rest. Okay. I think that's kind of.
I was thinking maybe it's a half a reference to the like Watergate informant guy, or
I looked up the Watergate thing. So and I think those things kind of work together. Where it's like again. Things that are like, you just throwing it out there. Maybe it's things you shouldn't be saying, but you're saying them.
Okay.
Like.
All right.
That's. But it is, it is meant to slap you in the face. I respect that. I'm a hip hop guy, so I got to admire the approach.
Tough to shock us. Come on, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, and that's hard for me. That's hard to do to me. I work in a school. The amount of things they like, hey man, watch this video. Like, whoa, like, and I don't. I'm desensitized now. I'm one of them.
It's funny how we were just talking about censoring stuff to be in school, and then you're like, but the stuff the kids show me is like, whoa. Yeah. This is a big We're trying to protect people that don't need fucking protecting. Come on.
Yeah. This is a part of the disconnect. This is such a big part of the disconnect. The generations.
So you're going to be performing stuff from the new one there? Or what are you going to...
No, it's going to be spoken word. I'm going to touch on religion and politics.
So,
like I do. And... we're gonna leave it there. I'm gonna do the spoken word stuff because again, I don't know if they're. Yeah, we won't go on the business side of things, but I'm happy to also just represent and support.
Nice.
It is a Black fam who's organizing it, so I always want to support when that's been organized. And
right on, man.
Yeah, man, it's something I'm down with.
What's the best way to support you?
Man, listen to. Sick, yo.
Fuck yes.
I will do my best to get the music to the people who have been upkeeping and upholding the craft, to give them more. And because other than that, man, I'm going for the record of the most underground, the best, most underground artist who ever lived. Like if I am with that title, I'm very happy. So you ain't gonna really find me. You'll feel me. You ain't necessarily gonna find me.
Well, the album will hit the internet at some point, though, right? Like on Bandcamp or something, I presume, or even on your .com.
If the people decide yes, then that's what's up.
Okay.
If the people are like, "No, man, this ain't," I don't predict that, But if I would honor it if that was what people thought of it.
I heard the music. I don't anticipate any wave of hate keeping you from spreading it out to the world, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if all goes well, I think people. I hope. This is my intention, is that elders jump on it, the youngins jump on it, and decide together how to put it out where it's raising funds to get things done within our city. Like it's a building block to get things done. Like put that money towards something we want to do.
I like that one.
That's where I hope. But that's just a hope. Go in a completely different direction. You interview me next year and I'll be like, oh, bro.
I'd love to interview you again next year, man. That sounds good to me. And hopefully, you're still putting out something new at that point, or working on something new, or doing new things in the community, one way or the other, man. The community.
Yeah, there were things man. There were things we talked about last time that have upgrades that we didn't get to touch on this time. So yeah, man, let's make it an annual thing. Let's make it as often as it needs to be, because I'm moving forward. That is the plan, you know. Like, there should always be new things built upon every time you holler at me.
You know what, Kaz? I was having a shitty day today. I felt like I was going to talk to you for a half hour and pull the plug on this motherfucker. And I was just like, I don't even want to fucking do this tonight. I'm glad that we did. I'm glad I talked to you, and we ended up talking for 2 hours. I threaded, I don't know what to call it even. I posted on Threads earlier today. I'm not doing any prep for this interview tonight because Kaz is easy to talk to. And here we are 2 hours later. Yeah.
We are homies, bro. You are for the thing. This is also like what we need to acknowledge and honor. We stand for the same shit, so we're the same peoples. And there's so many of us out there who, like, they're at home. They're probably gonna listen to this and like secretly not, you know, like.
I hope they do, man. I hope they do. That's the real challenge with this whole at-sick and flying formation thing. Is like, how do I get the people who I know are us to listen to it, to support one another, to know who's out there in Halifax, you know? Because it could be a national us. It should be.
And it is. It's not like we haven't figured out how to let other people know it yet, but it is, you know? So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. And we will figure it out around it. I don't have the answer right now.
We're going to keep it pushing, man. We're going to keep it pushing.
I'm working on it, you know?
Yeah, man.
So that's why we love this shit. That's why it's 2 hours, because someone's gonna watch this and learn some shit.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? It's gonna be on YouTube forever. So, you know, if they don't watch it next week, I think there's still some gems there for 5 years from now. If somebody's watching this in the year fucking 2029, you know?
Yeah. I future-proofed it. I future-proofed it. I promise.
Perfect. All right, man. Where can people find you on social media? That's the last thing.
KazMega.com, at KazMega. I don't post that much. I don't change a lot of things. Pay me if you want me to do it, and I'll consider it. But I am loving you. I am making all this stuff for you. It might not get to you first, though, but it will get to you eventually.
Oh, yes. All right, man. Much love, respect. It's been good talking to you, dude.
Always. Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. I don't know if anybody made it through that entire 2 hour thing. I had fun talking to Kaz. I hope people enjoyed it. Always an interesting and informative guy to talk with. Thems are my kind of people. And if you want to, you know, make sure you check out After the Smoke is Clear at Sick Radio. We do an hour worth of hip hop every week. I do my best to push it out to as many people as we can and get as much new music in as many new ears as possible. That's like the unofficial motto for the show. I've been saying that shit for 5 years now, but that's the mission statement right from the jump. And you can find the entire archives for the show, mixcloud.com/dubious. Coming up here on Twitch, I'm doing interviews every Tuesday. Next week, I'm excited. I'm talking to Holohan, famous KOTD, you know, representative. He was one of the originators of King of the Dot, legendary battle rapper, and I'm excited to talk to him. So that's March 19th, talking to Holohan. March 26th, I'm talking to one of my favorite Canadian producers, Fresh Kils. He's Toronto based. If you don't know Fresh Kils, you should check out Fresh Kils. Very dope. He's just fresh back off of tour, went down through the States, and it looked like it was successful. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. After that, I'm talking to Tachichi, Sayzee, Javier Escuela, Sinzere, Z the Free, Shark the SOB, Kits Willman, Jay Roberts, and Roshan. And that'll take us all the way through May, every Tuesday right here, Twitch TV /Dubious. And I appreciate y'all for coming through. Peace.